come achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne.
Okay, now I'm finding out there's drama on Facebook. Hello, my friends. So how do I add Facebook? Let's add Facebook again. Always fun. Tech, thank you very much. Save changes. Well, now's the time. Is it live on there? Well, it's reconnecting. So welcome, my friends. I better get my phone to get on my YouTube and make sure I'm watching on YouTube as well, which always has my numbers. Welcome. It is Wednesday. It's 10 o'clock or 10 past 10. That means it's any time, right? It's any time to do what Annie does best. The room I love the most. Hi, Nat. How you doing? Glad you're here. It was great to have you here, Natalie. Thank you so much for joining us. Even better to have you in the studio, Nat, but I'll take it, right? I'll take it. Sean, I can't see you, but Natalie tells me you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Now, Sean, again, I'd love to hear your ideas, Sean. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my topic today, because this is one for you, right? This is one that you're definitely expert in. But thank you for being here. If you want the link, Sean, I can always send you the link. Mr. Baxwager, well, Mr. Calm, you have the link in your WhatsApp. Cyrus, you have the link in your WhatsApp as well. Thank you. Nat, without you, I wouldn't know anyone's here, right? So thank you so much, my friends. Right. Alexis, welcome. So thank you all for being here. This is the Wednesday for being your authentic self in business. The bit where I get to, share my learning. That's most of my rooms is me sharing my learning. If not from my expert friends, but otherwise it's from my reading, right? Coach Ashley, for which it was great to see you, my friend. Of course, I know this topic is yours as well, for sure. Okay, it's the right StreamYard. Yes, now it's the right StreamYard as well. Did I share the link with you, Sean? My bad. So please do join us. Cyrus, how are you doing? Cyrus, are you there? Okay. Hopefully it's not me. It's not me that's not audible. Cyrus. Welcome, Mr. Merrill. Mel, great to see you. How are you doing, Mel? Thank you so much for joining us, superstar Mel. Glad you're here. Mel is my favorite friend today. I love all of you, but Mel's the one who wins the prize. But she messaged me and said, "What do you want me to do, Annie? Should I come on LinkedIn or should I join on YouTube?" I'm like, "Join on YouTube." I need more watch hours, Mel. I need more watch hours. I need more subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, my friends, please do join us on there. Do connect. Jackie, great to see you, Jackie. So I was in your room the other day. Actually into Sunday, I think, and an amazing room. You and Christine Bell. So I'm so glad you're here. Jackie is doing amazing things. Do connect with her. She has a health-related service, but she's also into empowering people these days. So I'm so glad you're here, Jackie. Thank you for joining us. There's more and more people. Yes. No, look, this is the room where I call this my signature room. It's the first room we started when I started doing events. So this room means a lot to me. My thinking, my premise, thanks, Jackie. On my way to YouTube. I appreciate you even more, Jackie. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to join the YouTube, my friend, just send me a message in the comments here, not to my DM. Otherwise, if you do send to my DM, I will send you the link afterwards, my YouTube channel link afterwards. But if you're on my YouTube, my friends, do like today's video. That's the first thing, right? Just like it anyway. And then comment, say some words, will be really good, right? And then subscribe. Cyrus, I saw you before, Cyrus. What happened? Okay, what happened to you? I couldn't hear you, no? Cyrus, you there? You're muted, Cyrus.
Yes. Hi.
Yay, how are you doing? How are you doing?
So much. How are you going? Lovely to see you guys again.
You were here. That's cheered me up. I've got 5 videos. I'm not going to show all 5 videos. There's no chance, right? Okay, 2 are beginning and end videos with your theme tune, Cyrus. And I have to learn to mention that you
Nice.
created my theme tune. So I've got 4 videos, but I'm probably going to only show 3 of them. So my topic is usually concerning business growth. How do we grow a business? How do we achieve our potential? That's the conversation that we have in this room. And it turns out that we grow our business with this simple formula. I know you like formula, Cyrus. You like science, right? Essentially, it is 98% mindset and 2% what we do, what we think. Not what we think. What we actually know, technical skills, in other words. So that's a realization. Right. I guess I arrived there when I realized, I got stuck doing what I was doing in business, doing the same old thing, working hard, extra hard, but nothing changing. Nothing ever changes, right? Your income doesn't change. You get a customer, you lose a customer. You're like, when you get the customer, you think, I'm rich, I'm all right now, I've made it. You lose a customer, you're like, I'm screwed. Damn, I'm bankrupt. Of course, neither is true. That's what mindset teaches you, amongst other things, right? So the room starts with my mindset coach, Donna Martin. I will always recommend her. Always, always, always. Who's Earth Mama? I like that name. Not that I have a clue who Earth Mama is. What's up, everyone? She says, Earth Mama. Okay. I know who that is. Oh, Cyrus, help. No. All right. So that's Jackie with a YouTube. Okay, on a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
okay.
Jackie.
Excellent. There is another Jackie here. No. Cyrus, we're wrong. I think we're wrong. Yes, that is Jackie. Jackie O. Jackie Holberg. I'm glad you're here.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much. And so Jackie talks about travel and going to wonderful places. She does that. It's late at night though, and she normally interviews guests. She makes the show more, a lot more interesting. But her energy, just her liveliness, I'm like, wow. You put me to shame, Jackie. Thanks for spending your time with us. I do appreciate you. See, when it comes to travel, I'm quite useless. I'm not useless. It's part of the conversation today. It's who is any really? Who is any? It's a question that I've had to ask myself several times. Like when it comes to travel, Jackie, any is probably boring, but I'm not. I'm so exciting, but I'm not boring, right? I'm exciting, Cyrus. Do you know why? Do you know why I'm conflicted? I only go to one place, Dominican Republic. Same place.
You always go there.
Always. I refuse to go
I
anywhere.
You're going to Ghana soon.
That's not a holiday. That's work, mate. Not a holiday.
Still, you're gonna have a lot of fun. You're gonna enjoy the local food.
Yeah, for sure. No, I say Jackie's been to all the states in the US, for example. I've been to probably most countries. I say that sincerely. And I've been to most of Europe, to be fair, but I just don't like it.
I usually tend to stick to Europe, but it's not that exciting.
It's not that exciting at all.
No.
And
Africa is exciting, Asia is exciting, but Europe, maybe it's because we live here.
Yeah, hopefully I get to. Okay, I see you, Chris. I didn't see you before, Christiana. So waving your hands is good, right?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes,
welcome, Christiana. My friends are here. Yeah, I thought I was going to be talking by myself. I was prepared.
And I was laughing backstage with your going to one place.
I will.
What's wrong with you?
I will brighten my horizons, Jackie.
Please
I'm
do.
going to the dumb rep next year in February. That's when my wife is letting us go next. So I'm looking forward to it. But there, I got the whole world in Dominican Republic. We used to have a house. Yeah,
I dare you. I dare you to just put up, this globe, the globe that people buy in their houses. Buy one of those, close your eyes, and pop a pin in a location. Open your eyes, see where it is, and go to that location.
Nah, not doing it. I tell you why. I don't do it, Christiana. I don't like slumming it. I hate to slum it anywhere. I don't like to slum it. I want.
Nobody said you have to slum it. As long as you know where you're going to.
They always have to slum it. everywhere's crummy. I've noticed. Well, Belgium we went to, stayed in Hilton. Okay, that was all right. Spain, I bought an apartment, and that was junk at the end, so we ran off. That's not a fun
Stay,
paradise.
no, stay in
Dominican Republic.
hotels.
Any biscuits are crummy. You never say no to them.
Exactly. Cyrus, virtual high five.
Sorry.
Let's not hide
Classic.
the
I
truth.
love that.
Let's not hide the truth. So Europeans can be they can be racist in subtle ways, right? And I don't entertain it. I'm just like, no.
Oh yeah, we all go through that.
No, I'm not having it. I refuse
when
to
I went to Italy,
yes,
and the customs officer tried to call me prostitute in Italian. I
How
didn't
rude.
realize.
That is
that I
just-
could understand because
That's
he was
what I'm
like,
talking about. That's
I
what I want to
I
entertain.
wasn't having it.
I'm saying no, literally, they look at black people and think, I'm not talking to you today. You're like, hello, I got my bank card in my hand. Do you? And they're like, and you're like, I'm just not coming back. Is what I said. I just don't go back. So, but
I go back.
Sometimes some people panic when they see a classy and beautiful lady. They use the wrong
that's
word.
not my excuse, right?
So they use the wrong terminology.
That's Christiana.
That is a funny memory now, Christiana, isn't it? Now it's a funny memory. We can laugh about it.
No, but seriously, they tried to take my passport away from me. I'm like, what are you doing? And this is the reason why, if I'm going to any country that I go to, I must know enough of the local dialect and language to at least greet, hear, understand. Even if I pretend I don't understand what you're saying, I will at least know how to direct myself in that country. And I'm somebody who has traveled by myself to a completely new country to me, by myself. Go sit down in the bar, get a drink, go to my hotel room, and just chill, and then do what I need to do. So I've been to places and I think to myself, I can see the attitude, the behaviors, towards someone that looks like me. And I've found myself in so many situations. It makes me laugh. But when you understand, it's like sitting in a place and somebody's selling you, and you wouldn't even know if you don't understand the language. So I make the effort to be able to say, okay, if you're going to say something to me, or at least plot, I can pick up quickly what you're trying to do. So when he called me that horrible name, I just looked and thought, I thought to myself,
you see, my say Christiana.
But
I just say I'm never going to come back. And the only place
I went back. I went back to Italy. I had to go to Italy. I had no choice.
Dominican Republic's at home to me. So we had a house there for a few years, about 5 years.
Yeah.
And so, but that proved too much hard work. Renting that property abroad is hard.
I can imagine. Yes.
You have to rely on people, especially now. It's hard enough where we are. So I just so we bought a luxury holiday club. And literally, we can go wherever we want. I don't have to walk it when I'm there. There's a golf cart thing.
That story put me off Italy. I'm gonna go to Turin, for my wine brand soon.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance that I'm gonna wear a T-shirt that says "not a prostitute." Just to avoid confusion.
Look, you lot. Look, let's entertain our friends. Do it quick.
The pattern is emerging, right? Is the prostitute, the exotic thing? The name just goes on and on.
I wonder why. Christiana is so unfair on you. Look, I'm not gonna try and be funny and say, I wonder why. I didn't say that out loud, right? But I know you're none of those things.
Continue with this discussion. And he's sleeping on the couch tonight.
In the doghouse, you mean, right? In that proper doghouse outside, out the back. Let me welcome Christy. Christy, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Sean, we'll come to the conversation in a minute. When my friends let me actually get on with when I watch. All right. Thank you, Sean. I love your comments. Kendra as well. Thank you for being here. From Wyoming here. I struggle to pronounce some names, right? Christiana, is that you in the comments? I'm sure it's not. How are you doing? There's Christiana. It's not Christiana.
It's not me. I
See,
said hello, Annie and Lisa.
you see, we need to change this this LinkedIn user thing that you've got. It's just so annoying, right? I'm sure
But
you
I
don't.
don't think
you
it's
can't
their
help
fault.
it.
I think it's the conversion between the sites. Do you think there's anyone in the chat that is called LinkedIn user? I don't think they are called LinkedIn user.
No, no,
Honestly,
no.
I'm just asking. I'm just
But
wondering.
Annie,
I think there's a
Annie,
setting somewhere. Yeah,
do you
Yeah, there's
remember
something there.
you and me changed mine live
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
working, and then I went back the following week. It gone back to its LinkedIn user.
So
I
let's
did
change it.
nothing different.
Let's change it again. No, we need to change it again, right?
We
That's what
will
we need.
at some point, but not
Well, to
tonight.
be honest, that's an awful name. To be honest, it's like calling someone
Stop
homeowner.
it.
You
Stop
know those
it.
letters you receive, homeowner.
Let's call
Come
it
on.
exotic
Let's
user instead.
the exotic one. Don't call it that, Cyrus. You know, you might get beaten up. And doghouse for you for
Oh
sure.
yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
she'll be on her way to, you don't
The
live that far from
exotic,
her, right?
the
Don't call her
exotic
that.
one. All right.
Cyrus, I will tell you the backstory as to how I got called exotic thing for 2
Yes.
years.
Yes. Anyway, let's leave that alone. You know, I suppose it's part of our conversation today, right? So let's start properly. Now, who's Annie? Okay, let me paint a picture for you. I run a company called Global.Media, and it's £1 million a year revenue business. I got £10 million in the bank, and I drive an electric blue Bentley. It's hybrid, by the way, because I always wanted a hybrid car. Right? I'm the world's greatest dad, and I'm the world is my oyster. You know, there's nothing I can't do, and I'm building more and more and more. Okay. Why do I tell you all of that, my friends? Why do I tell you all that stuff? I tell you all that because, you know, it's real to me in my head. It's my story about who I am. It's my identity of who Annie is. Now, of course, I hear you ask the question, is he really a multimillionaire? My question is this. What am I to think of myself? Is there really a place for me to think, oh, Annie, you're a pauper. You struggle in business. You have nothing. What's the benefit of that? Here's the point, my friends. You know, there's a saying, you are who you say you are. You're who you think you are, right? You know, and if you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. It took me a long time to learn this lesson. Welcome, America's Supermom, Michelle. Glad you're here. It's truly a
Hi,
blessing to have
Michelle.
you. You know, look, I think that our identity, who we say we are, who we tell ourselves we are, you know, it affects so many things. It affects everything, to be honest. My YouTube friends, I love seeing that number. You know, seeing 5 people on my YouTube, that's exciting. So watch hours going up. Yay. I should have said that as well, right? You know, I'm monetized on YouTube as well. Yeah, they pay me every month, send me a good check for hundreds of pounds just for being me. Yay. Right. My point is not still as it is, my friends, right? I think what we say to ourselves, it affects everything that we are. It affects everything we do. It affects how we think. So I can easily have said to you the totally opposite of what I just said to you, right? And what the reality that I learned from a coach, it took a long time to learn this lesson, by the way, hence I'm talking about it today. Yeah. There was always that, Annie, why don't you do that? Why don't you raise your price, Annie? I'm like, I raise my price when I'm good enough. When I deliver more results, more service, more benefits to my clients. And she's like, no, that's not how it works, Annie. And then, you know, eventually she said, right, let's look at your beliefs. What is your belief about money? And her conversation started there. Well, it took me a long time to create what I call the Annie bubble in my head. That place where I'm like, my world is perfect. I'm the greatest. I can do anything I want to do. You know, it took me a long time to actually believe that. And you know, if you look at me now, you know, you say, "Oh, Annie does so well." I hope you will, right? He does so well, you know. But it's based on the fact that I see myself as all the things I told you, a multimillionaire, mega successful business that has clients all over the world, now delivering amazing service to everyone, and everyone truly loves our services and they pay our price quite happily. Meanwhile, I do all of this with ease, fun, and flow. I say these words every morning when I get up. Every morning, I write these words down. I think them. I feel them. I meditate on them. Right. I guess, and I suppose the last I'll say at this stage is there's another important saying. Literally, you will never go further than the limits of how you see yourself, because how you see yourself is your identity. Yay. Think of that for a second. So, my friends, my question to you is, how do you see yourself? Now, we'll get on to how do we change how we see ourselves in good time. Because I think that's an important task. I think we'll have to do. We have to evolve our identity, right? But first of all, let's start with how you see yourselves. Christiana, please paint a picture. For those in the audience, please. Where's she gone? That's Sarah's coming to you next. Maybe we should go to Calm because it's gonna fall off the stage. Hopefully not. What I say might happen, right? Felipe, welcome. Glad you're here. Mero, I'm sure I welcomed you. I'm so glad you're here as well, my friend. Thank you for being here. Mr. Connector himself. If you want to go to events that you don't know exist, talk to Mero for sure, right? I love that, Mero. What you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create. That's as long and short of our conversation today, my friends. It really is that. Sean, I don't want to miss your genius. So before asking what should I do, ask, would I be okay? Who would I be if I already had the result I want? So Sean, it took me a long time to understand this. I guess for reasons that I will elaborate on today. I think there's a way that we think the world works, and we miss that fact, Sean. I'm quite happy to accept and say now, you can change your self-image in a flick of a switch. You decide I want to change, you change it. But many people struggle with that, Sean. So let's take them through the step-by-step process of changing who we are, right? But of course, it starts with understanding what the self-image really is. Cyrus, who would you be? Who are you?
That's a simple question, but not an easy one.
It's not a simple question. Go on,
it's a simple question, but an easy one.
Go on, tell us what you think.
So I think what I am now has always been what I wanted since childhood. I wanted to be to have an international organization. But every step of the way, I feel like there is something else that I need to learn. I need to learn it, and then it's like a computer game. I need to pass this stage and then move on to the next, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a grand schemey kind of situation happening as well, right? So the vision that I have in mind is not. Yeah, I am making the money I want to make, but at some stage you become so self-conscious about it, and you feel like, why is it that I haven't hit the vision that I had in mind yet? And then you have to re-strategize. And right now, the vision that I've got in mind is to have a small community in every country in the world. So in each country, soon we're going to have one representative who's going to create one community in that country, with the exception of the United States. So in that country, it's going to be one person in each state rather than just one person for the whole country. So we are on our way to actually hit that goal. But because the vision um, is not an easy one. It has taken a long while, and but the person that I want to be is the person who makes that vision possible, and I hope that answers your question. That is who I want to be. But how is it that I can be that person? Uh, so that was the what. Now the how. The how is I've recently come to realization that I have to look at who's my consumer, who's my consumer, and what is it that they want. And if you give people what they want, they will give you what you need. So that's what I've learned in this business of branding and podcasting. So what people want is to be seen and to be heard, and that's what we do. That's what you're doing as well, and if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and I told you who I was to be able to do that, right? I'm saying, now, look, we need to. The only way I can describe it is we have a nail in our head. Now, let's go with what Coach Ashif says. It says, I'm not what happened to me." Coach, you know, many people say they are what happened to them, right? So most people haven't got that not in there. And what I choose to become, right? That's exactly it, Coach. You know, that's it right there. Now, this matters, my friends. It matters. Omissions matters. It matters whether we have a nail in our head and we refuse to take it off, and we'll try and fix other things. I keep saying this these days. I've said it the last couple of days, I think. In other words, the fundamental issue, Cyrus, is who are you? Not what are you doing? Not why? Not how? Who are you? Who do you tell yourself you are every day, Cyrus? I'll let you try again if you want. I see you, Tracy. Welcome. Cyrus fell off the stage. I tell you, stop falling off the stage, honestly. Christiana, you're
Ah,
now back on stage. You fell off.
can you
Stay away from the edge of the stage. Stay away from the edge, right? The edge of the stage is quite dangerous. You might just slip off.
can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Good.
So who's Christiana? Who are you?
Who am I? Good question. So it's funny you're asking this question. It's so right because I have got a post on Friday that's going to be coming out that's answering exactly this question you're asking me right now. For my new and existing LinkedIn community. So who am I? I'm someone who loves life, Annie. You know, um, when it comes to my personal personality, I'm someone who likes to achieve. I would say I am to a point a high achiever. I have achieved a lot of things in my life. I am someone who is so much about helping others, someone who loves life, someone who has faith, who believes um, in doing good, and the good you do will come back to you. You know, I'm someone who, when I create things, I'm quite creative actually. I'm a very creative person. When I create things, I like to see them to fruition. Um, and the one thing about myself is, it might take me a little while to to get going. It depends on what the thing is, right? It's like we were speaking earlier on today, Annie, and you said to me, it looks like I'm on the road. I'm on the road, and the truth is, yes, it took me a while to get there because I wasn't quite sure of my um, I didn't really completely believe, my ability when it comes to social media because I'm not a social media person. But it took a while because I really wanted to understand, take the time to digest. Even before I ask somebody else to help me with it, I have to understand what it is I'm asking them to help me with. So I'm somebody who will take the time to learn something new. I love to learn new things so that I can contribute, you know. Um, yeah, I love to kind of help other people. I have this big idea and this big dream, which I'm in the process of, and I would say I like to dream big. From when I was younger, I like to dream big, and so it's about finding ways and finding, the how to eventually reach my big dream ultimately. But I always set my sights on even bigger and bigger and bigger things. Um, but at the same time, I love to enjoy the small wins. I like to take the time to observe, enjoy the journey at the same time. So, yeah, that being said, I'm somebody who likes and is working towards financial freedom, you know, not for myself, but to be able to enable others to enjoy life. What I mean by that is this. If, for example, like my girlfriends, I want to go on holiday with them, I want to, I'm the kind of person who would say, okay, if you're worrying about us going away for 3 weeks or a month or whatever it is, I will cover. For me, that's what financial freedom means, is I will cover, what the cost is to you, and then we can go away and you don't have to worry about it. Because for me, that's what financial freedom means. What's the point of having financial freedom if you cannot, enjoy it and enjoy it with others? Or you're sat on your lonesome trying to enjoy this money that, that no one else is around you. It's about making other people's life better. So, in a nutshell, I'm someone who is ambitious. I like to help other people. I love spending time. I love traveling. And I always see the best in others, even when I shouldn't. And you attest to this too, because you experienced it when I shouldn't. Um, that's who I am, essentially.
I like that. I truly like that, Christiana, because I guess when we talk about who we do have this ability to emphasize or ignore. I think it matters what we say, if you know what I mean, right? Now, I'm glad you mentioned the money thing at the end, because that's one of the important parts of who we are. There's a logic. Now, who we say we are can either hold us back or move us forward. Now, it helps to take opportunities or ignore opportunities. Mr. Kong, I'm coming to you next. Let me welcome Dr. Henry. Dr. Henry is here. Welcome, Henry. Glad you're here. Well, that being called like this, it's cool. I'm glad you're here. I really am. I think like Christiana, who's making all that noise? Come on, make it. It's you, Christiana. You got noise in your background. What's that noise? Yes, it's Christiana's noise that's going on. Now, so I do like the many of the things you mentioned, Christiana. There is going to be an end. So those in the audience, please do make a note. Get a bit of paper, or at least even you say it out loud to yourself. Who are you, really? Who are you? I love to know what you say to yourself, but I'm sure you love to know what you say to yourself more than I want to know, right? Because what you say to yourself determines what you do, what you don't do. Depends where you go, where you don't go. Determines who you talk to, who you don't talk to. Determines everything. It even determines your behavior, determines your success in life, the results you get. This is why it's so important, and I had to learn this. I know what I said the hard way. I paid good money to learn this. I'm giving you a shortcut. So it took me months to begin to realize I can change who I am. Like I say, my eventual solution, my eventual discovery, my learning was I could really, I am who I say I am. Okay, right. So why don't you just change who you say you are to who you want to be? So you're saying Sean. Sean's question is relevant here, right? So Sean says, "Who are you being?" That's the real question. That's a question for all of us. Yeah, who we are is what we say we are today. That must change. That must evolve. Otherwise we will be where we want to be. We'll be perfect. We'll be happy. We'll be wealthy. We'll be successful, right? The reason we're still going is because there's still another step to go. There's a lot more of our journey still to be. And for that journey, we need to become the person who would do, who would think, who would see what the person we're trying to become sees. Simple way of saying that. If you want to be a doctor, then see yourself as a doctor and then do what doctors do, right? That's the long and short. That's what I'm trying to say to you in a long-winded kind of way. It's within us. If we don't begin to think and see ourselves as that person, we'll never get there. Think of that for a second, right?
I'm back.
You're back. I think you sound a bit better because you sound like you had a distortion going on.
That's my phone.
Yeah, welcome, Coach. Welcome back. You're back from Nigeria. You're back on our lives. I haven't seen you for weeks, my friend. So, Christiana, I will come back to you with
Coach David. I was going to start there. Good evening. Okay, what I do now? Where you dey?
Nigeria. You want to Nigeria? Why you not saying honestly? You want to eat some good food. You want to go enjoy and be on TV. I saw him on TV.
Coach David, you should have bought some food for Annie.
Yeah, you should have. You really should have, right? But you're back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I've been away for a while. Can you hear me?
I was going to say, Alaji, welcome back.
That's what was going on over there. That's what was going on. The big chief.
Your voice.
Chief idea winning awards and winning the competitions and all sorts.
Yes.
Christiana, I'm going to come back to you on this question that Sean asks. Who are you being? It's like I say, we know who we are today, but to move on, to evolve, to get to the next stage, it needs to become someone else.
Well, we need to become an extended version of ourselves as opposed to somebody else.
Really?
That's the way I look at it. Yes. We need to become an extended version of ourselves as opposed to somebody else, because here's how I think and how I my perspective is this. I cannot spend the time being a second rate or version of somebody else and a first class version of myself. And for me to be a first class version of myself, I have to be able to be in a place of becoming, of extending who I am. So
yes,
that's the way I look at it.
Alas, the story you tell yourself of who you are will be entirely different. Entirely different.
Absolutely.
Okay. You have to become a different person.
It's not a different person, it's the same person, but extension of myself. It's a little bit like when people say, this person is now become financially free or has a lot of money and they've become somebody different. That's not true. That characteristics, that person has always been there. The money just amplified who they truly are, whether good or terrible, right? People don't change overnight. They just amplify who they are, essentially. So in speaking of who we're becoming, we become an extension of ourselves, not somebody else, because everybody else is taken.
I'm not going to argue with you. Okay, that's it. I'll take that. Alas, I'll come back to you before we leave and say, right, who are you becoming? Break it down, same way that you broke down who you are. You find that you got a whole different sets of things that you are becoming.
Yes, that's called evolving.
Yes,
you're human. You're yourself. You are evolving, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not all fixed the same from when we're born up until this point. We're constantly evolving as humans, and therefore that's why we're becoming. And becoming is still an extension of ourselves. Whether we break it down or we take on different characteristics, ideas, and so on and so forth, it's still intrinsically we are ourselves.
Yeah, look, as a coach, I agree with you. The next chapter is within all of us. It's within our will. It's within the story we tell ourselves ultimately. The story we tell ourselves is what we'll become. So I'm sure we'll break it down before we leave, right? Coach, Teno, you're a great man. So do tell me, who are you really?
Like I always say, words are not meanings. Words are not meanings. So what do you mean by who am I really? What does that mean? What are you trying to ask me?
Right. What's the story you tell yourself? What's your narrative to yourself about who Coach David is? Now, you woke up this morning, right? What was your story to
Yes.
yourself? What do you tell yourself you are? Who do you tell yourself you are?
I need to get to the UK today. I need to make sure that's the conversation inside my mind this morning. I need to get to the UK today. I need to ensure I'm not late for the airport. I need to have my bags ready. And I'm going somewhere with that because being, and I thank you, Sean, for that, for the way you put it. Being is huge and large. In fact, it has different kinds of classifications, and several things are going on at once. When people ask questions like, who are you? It's an in situ question, meaning it's a situational question that should come from some reflection, typically coaching or a moment of pausing. Until you take that internal stillness or pausing, we can't even start asking the question.
I
So if
agree.
you ask me, what story did I tell myself this morning? That's a story in the moment. But if you're asking me at a deeper reflective point, who am I? Then that's another conversation, which I suspect this is what this is about. And I say that to say many people are confused about the immediate being and the bigger being. And until you invest in your being by spending time, energy, effort, relationships, there are about 8 things you need to do to achieve clarity with who am I. So at the base of my being, I see myself, and you see my choice of words is moved to visual. I see myself and visual and kinesthetic. That just went slightly deep. But that gives you a peep into my soul that I visualize and I create feelings based on the visuals that I have to help as many around me be the best they can be across different products, services, career paths that have been. Anywhere you find me, a set of values will always be on the table. There will be help. There will be a new picture. There will always be humor and a very strong disdain for evil or evil people. There will be hatred for any form of competition and avarice. But these things are consistent with my being anywhere I find myself. If I'm in that environment where these things are not there, it's a matter of time I'm going to leave. So I gave my answer because I wanted to see that we exist in layers and the depth is much. At the first cursory glance, there are about 5 layers. There's personality, there's psychology, there's value system, there's internal perception, there's perspective, then there are mental images. Those things play together and they have different kinds of ideas and solutions. So the idea that we can in a 1 hour 2 hour conversation peel through who I am as a person, we'll come up with a picture, with a portrait, which 3 days down the line you do another kind of analysis and then you find out, okay, why is there this different one? I'm trying to say we all need to take a journey into becoming. First of all, be clear about who you are and becoming. And you said something about your topic, being authentic and how to use that in business. That's the message I saw on my phone. And I say, hey, look at Annie. You want to build a whole skyscraper on the foundation that's so thin. I mean, people are still struggling with being authentic to know themselves. You won't start building business on top of it. How far will it go? So anyway, big question is, when we say who am I, let's be clear. What am I asking? Are you asking for my personal value systems? Are you asking for my self-image? Are you asking for my perspective and perceptions? Are you asking for my primary dominant thought or desire at that time? There's also, so there are different classifications about what's going on in the mind. And per time, it's a picture you see when you take a picture or you take a slice. All right,
Look,
so that's
like,
on it.
that and all of that I agree with. Like I say, there is something about our omissions and our emphasis when
Yep,
we answer that question, right?
yep.
You know, so I say, we are all the things you mentioned. So your personality, your attitude, even your vision, the mental pictures that you have, right? That all
Mhm,
counts.
mhm,
That's why the real question is who you say you are helping you, and
mhm.
is it going to get you to where you want to get to? Yeah,
That's another
that's that.
layer.
Yeah, that's when it becomes important, right? We have to become that person that we want to be first in our heads, long before anywhere near our reality. It's
Mm,
that story we tell ourselves, the picture we paint of ourselves, is the primary driver for everything that happens to us. That's my assertion today.
mm,
I know there's many more things that, of course, do affect us. I'm saying no, but that my primary argument
mm,
is if we want to become something going forward, if we want to get to where we want to try to get to, coach, we have to become that person.
mm.
I think you agree with that, from what you're saying about comments, right? But
Totally. In fact, let me just add to that. There's no result anyone has that you cannot have. There's nothing anyone does that you cannot do. If you can simply just do that exercise that Annie just spoke about now, become the person in terms of understanding their thoughts, their moods, their emotions, their imaginations. I mean, you just want to know the meta model. Once you understand the meta model, the remaining is easy. So, yes, Enya, I agree with you. What is the predominant mindset or mind frame? And then, oof, that's it.
yeah, no, I think that you break it down beautifully. It's the different parts that we need to put together, right, to create an image, a self-image, a self-identity of who we say we are.
Yeah,
Look, and
I agree.
this
I
is this is a,
agree.
this is a coaching exercise. The coach would say it cost me good money to find out this information that I'm trying to. It cost me a good 10 grand to find out. Who am I? And I fought against it. I didn't know. I was like, I'm happy and I'm rich enough. And the question then becomes, so what are you going to do? And again, there's another. The follow-up question after that is, why aren't you doing it any? I was stumped, but there's a way forward.
Mm.
And we'll come to that in good time, right? Mr. Calm, you keep falling off the stage. Share with us. Who will you be, my friend? What do you say to yourself every day? Tell us a narrative of who you are.
All right. Um, every time I wake up in the morning, um, it's always because I am in pain or some sort of irritation, and that immediately puts me foul in a foul mood. But I don't want to be in a foul mood. What I actually want is peace.
Mm.
I really, really crave peace.
Mm.
So, how do I get there? I mentally put myself or my mind and in a position to accept what's going on with my body and then obviously accept what's going on in my mind as well, and then come to peace with that. So the way I see it, I make myself calm. I look for calmness, I look for peace, I look for a way to get to settle myself. And in so doing, what has made me what has stifled me out of my sleep and made and put me in that previous condition has somewhat gone away, simply because I took an effort. And it doesn't take it takes a while. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes, sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 2 hours, maybe even 3. Maybe I won't even go back to sleep because of it. There have been those days. But that's what I do. And I always seek it, because it's only within peace that I can really think and have a positive impact in my world, or on the universe, in my universe, or in our universe, however you want to see it. But I do believe that we're all together in this universe, and some way, somehow, you impact me, I impact you, and we impact everyone else because of what we put out there and what we also internalize. That's how I think about it.
Deep answer. Deep answer. I guess, see, when it comes to health, I'm always stumped, because I always feel I can't say much, because health is it beyond our control? Is it beyond is it beyond what we can affect? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Michael. But say, I just know that deep down, if you want to keep me quiet, then health is the way to go, because I never have an answer. And I always feel mean. And I can't beat up on you now, because health is your primary focus, right? I'm saying, when I said that, our omissions, our emphasis, it matters. It says a lot about who, what we are, what we think of, really, and what we become. Anyway,
well, I'll tell you what, Annie. I don't mind if you beat on me.
I'm not gonna beat you.
It really won't affect my state of being.
It might do that. I hope it affects your state of being. I hope it affects your story that you tell yourself. Let me do any, and then you see why I say such things, right?
Yeah.
Let me show you my first video today. So I guess, as much as I say to you, you can create your identity, you can create who you are, you can create your reality in an instant. It's whether you choose to or not, right? People will ask me, oh, well, and I ask the same question. I've tried to, I think of myself differently, but it hasn't changed anything, right? I get that. Let's have a look why this happened. Again, it's a 1 minute 50-second video. I was underestimate the time, by the way, for my videos. I always take a few seconds off. So it's more like a 155-second video. So let's see what I'm bagging on about. Then I'll come to Cyrus and get his thoughts on it.
If you're not already, hear the term limiting beliefs a lot. Gotta fix your limiting beliefs. It's all a mindset game, man. It's all what's going on up here. I know you've heard that, haven't you? Here's why that's wrong. You work in 3 layers. Your thoughts are on the outside. This is what we'll call beliefs. If I can just believe in myself enough, I'll take the actions to build my business. Or if I can just have better thoughts, then I'll feel successful or content with where I am. But it's not the thing, it's the thing behind the thing. What's behind thoughts? I'll tell you. Emotions. Not to be confused with how I dressed in middle school, or the music selection that's still on my Spotify to this day I haven't grown out of. You know this to be true. Take driving. You ever gotten in your car when you're in a bad emotional state? Your thoughts are really different. Why is that guy going so slow? He's so dangerous. Why is that person driving past me like a maniac? They're so reckless. Your emotional state of being stressed causes your thoughts and your actions to change. See, your thoughts are like files on a computer, and your emotions are the folders that they are stored in. So if you change your emotion, what you notice is that your thinking changes as well. It's not the thing, it's the thing behind the thing. Now there's one extra layer, and this is the whole video we're talking about here. Just take a guess. What is this first layer? What is it? This is your core story. Also could be called your identity, your self-image, your self-view, the most important thing. Why does rewiring limiting beliefs not feel effective? Why does positive thinking feel so hard when we're in such a low vibe? It's because most people, they go from layers 3 to 1. They think if I can just change my thoughts, then my emotions will change and my story will change. And maybe sometimes that's true. But the fastest way you can change your entire identity in your life is to go from the inside out. Go from level 1, 2, 3. When you change your story, your emotions change and your thoughts change as well. Before I get to these charts, why don't we briefly just touch on
Michael, hopefully you see why I said, Michael, right? You know, deep down, I think you can change your reality.
Yes, I do. It's it's like saying that you put me in an environment, you put somebody in an environment, a different environment from what they're used to, and all of a sudden they start change, their thoughts change. And then not only their thoughts, their identity also changes too, because they're now driven to figure out this new environment in a different way from where they are. Yeah, I see what you're getting at.
100%, 100%. So
Isn't that
when I said the health thing earlier, if someone says to me, "I've got cancer," then I'm like, "Oh, I'm stumped on that one. I don't know whether you think you're aware of cancer." You know, they're still alive, Mike, all of them. So maybe they can, right? Christiana, please. What are you
No, I
going
was
to
going
say?
to say, isn't that the reason why people always want more? After the next thing comes, the next thing, and the next, and the next, and the next. Because we're always wanting to evolve, wanting to get the next thing. We're always wanting to have better than we had before, which can in itself be dangerous for some people.
Is it dangerous?
It can be. It
I
can
suppose
be
so. If I
when,
look at it,
especially the character that you are too. You have some people who can become addicted to just having to go into the next and next, and that creates, when
Trump.
the era of disappointment. So
It
when things
creates
go
the
wrong,
Trump.
so when things go wrong, they're disappointed and depression sets in. So that's the reason why it can be dangerous. It's about knowing.
no. Look, I could agree, but no, I don't agree. I tell you, I don't
You
agree.
go ahead.
I think life's about growth, and I always think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization is the ultimate in humanity, right? It's the ultimate achievement.
I hear you.
What does that look like? That is infinite, ultimately. That's our reality. Now, we're infinite beings. We can be we're so genius as humans.
Mm-hmm. We
There's
are,
nothing to
but
achieve,
we're also
right?
dangerous as humans
Of course, we're
to
dangerous.
ourselves.
Not no. This is not about anyone else but us, right? It's not competition. It is. I think what Safi says, which is it's hard to get past negative thinking.
Yeah.
We can't live in a world of fear, Christiana, and many people do. I'm sure you know that already, right? Many people truly live in a world of fear. And they won't want to go next level because in case they fail, in case they change, in case it goes wrong, in case forget the in cases, forget all that. Now look at the glory, look at the achievement, the success, look at the joy you're going to feel. But this all comes down to the story you tell yourself. This is the point, right? If we say it's going to it could be bad, then we're almost tying one hand behind our back. Yeah.
What
Cyrus,
drives any? I have a question.
go on,
I
please,
don't
please.
agree.
Coach, you're the coach, not me, right? I'm just saying before you ask me the question. I'm like, I don't
I mean,
know.
the question is The question is, what drives the stories or the predominant stories we tell ourselves? Something always drives our stories.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's
Okay, I mean,
it's
Absolutely.
it's a value
the
it's a value
explanation.
system.
Go on, coach.
It's a
Go.
va-
Sorry.
it's a value system and our perception of the world. Those are the
Yes.
two things. Our value
Yes.
systems and our perception of the world drives
Yes.
our stories. If
Indeed.
if you change
Not
if you change the value system and the perception of the world, immediately the stories you tell yourself begin to change.
I agree. I'm sure you can add the word beliefs in there as
yes.
well. That's what value systems are, right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Our
right.
beliefs.
And look, coach, people will tell you the first time these our stories began to form was in our childhood. Even when we're babies, we saw
Mm-hmm.
around us what we see, we internalize, and then somewhere down the line, there's experience number two. The man I just showed, he explains it very well. He says, "Now look, the first one, let's say it's about let's say money. One day you suddenly realize, oh, there is money. Money is actually a thing, right? When you're a kid, you're a young kid for most of us, right? And then you think, oh, well, money is there, and then how your parents approach money, view money, perceive money, value money, all the things you say, coach, right? Then gives us an inkling of how money works. True or false, it's just what it is, right? We learn from our childhood experiences. And then over time, we'll add another experience and add another experience. Now, our thinking is almost fixed. We now believe this thing. Whether it's true or not, who knows, right? But we just have a belief about money. This is the conversation today, coach, and I'm sure you understand that. In that we need to let go of these limiting beliefs, not by thinking differently as we've been told, positive thinking, for example, but by changing our stories. We have to change the belief deep down. We have to question the belief and change it. Sometimes we just have to change it full stop, right? Otherwise, how to put it? People experience trauma every day, every day, right? I'm saying all of us have experienced trauma. Whereas our response is different. For some, trauma is a snakes and ladder game that holds them down on the bottom of the ladder. Always be bitten by the snake. Always. It's our creation that causes our reality. If we choose to believe otherwise, then our world will change. That's the point of today's conversation. Look, I'll show you a couple more videos. So my sister Annie, so great to see you always, always, always. Thank you for being here. Coach say the tragedy of life is that we met our parents before we met ourselves. I tell you, coach, isn't that the true words, coach? That's why they say there's that saying, show me the boy of 7 and I'll show you the man that he will be, basically, right? Show me the boy, until he's 7, and I'll show you what he's going to be as a man. That's the way the world works because we let it work that way. But we can flip everything on its head. We can flip everything to how we want to be. For I say we must flip everything to how we want our lives to be. Otherwise, we're not going to move forward. That's my argument today, right? Coach, don't put any comments. Now, tell us what you're thinking, Coach.
Well, the tragedy of life is that we met our parents and their value systems before we met ourselves. We were born as tabula rasa. I mean, the average baby is born with no. By the way, Michael, good to hear your voice again, and Christiana, and everyone on the stage. Been a while. So, and then after we met our parents, we met society. Then we met school. We met everyone else. And so by the time we were coming into consciousness and awareness of my personhood or anyone's personhood, we're comfortably probably maybe in the teenage years when the first ponders begin about who am I? You've been given a name, you've been put in a culture, been given some set of values, you have some food already. There's already a very set worldview. At 18, you're formally going to define anything that you're going to define about yourself in the context of that culture, for example,
I
that you were
agree.
raised in.
I
For
agree.
example, yes. For example, in the French language, there's masculine chair, feminine house, masculine table, feminine table. What is that? In English language, that sense of meaning, that sense of being does not exist. So there are many metaphors or worldviews that we even have at the foundation that were handed over to us, and they are so ingrained because that's the culture we found ourselves. Now, by the time you begin to grow and then you meet other cultures and you're trying to find yourself and now build on top of who you are, it starts getting very complex. So those are the deep things about identity that require all of us to engage real knowledge and understanding, because to keep playing or plaguing in quote, I'm sorry to use the word plaguing, you keep meeting it in the future if we don't sit down to settle it once and for all. It's something that keeps coming back and back, never goes away. It's
I
kind of
agree.
issue you see everywhere. Once
I agree.
Yeah,
identity is not settled.
I
like
agree.
like a cycle, a loop,
Mm.
Yep.
a
Yeah.
loop, like the infinity loop, the one that
Yeah.
Annie was talking about. It just keeps on looping one way in direction and then loops back the other way and loops, and then at that little point right there in the middle, that's the point that you keep on getting, you know, that you keep on having to address. Why is that point where where the loop crosses each other? And you always have it. And if you get it right, you move forward. If you don't, you still get it, and you still stay in the loop, and you come back to it. But I think there's also a that particular with that particular point, you can even advance, but at the same time, you get the same question in a different way, or in a different manner later on down the road. It
Mm.
still comes back, the question, but in a different form, in a different way. But
Yeah.
it's more advanced. It's more something that you should be capable of tackling and advancing upon and going forward. That is how you're elevating. That's how I believe that we're elevating in life, just continuously going through the same question over and over and over. And that's what I thought. And that's what I keep on seeing in the schools. The way we keep on doing almost the same thing over and over again, but it's a little bit more advanced, going from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3 to grade 4 to grade 5 to grade. Then you get these, exams again, and then you in high school you see the same, you know, the same the same teaching, something similar.
Mm.
If you're a student who is incredibly gifted, by the time you're 4, you could be in university
Right.
because
Okay.
everything you've been taught, you already learned, and you already know what it is. So you just simply surpass. When you do the exams, you just surpass everything that is given to you because you've already seen it before, and you only seen it once. Where other children and other kids are so vested in external affairs that they don't grasp anything right away. They always have to come back and, you know, attend the same question over and over and over and over again until they get it, and then they move on. But
Yeah.
I believe that's how the Nigerian system works, right?
Yeah, but I think that's how life works in general, Michael.
Yeah.
In that, I'd say, you mentioned many things I think I can hold on to, I can hook on to, right?
Yes.
So all of you here today, all of you here, in the audience as well, who was good at maths as a kid? Who was good at maths in school?
Coach,
Me.
So Cristiano was good at maths.
I'm
Coach?
saying coach was good at math.
I don't
I
know.
was.
I hear you, Cristiano. Coach Cyrus, were you good at maths as kids? I wasn't.
No, I was
And
very average
I
in
was.
maths. I picked maths up later.
See, this is the point, Michael, right? We tell ourselves, the 4-year-old who goes to uni and aces everything, all that child has got is a different story in their head. The story that says, I can, I am. And then they do. That's how life works. Whereas if you're like me, you go through school, say to yourself, I'm no good at maths. I'm no good at maths. No, I'll tell you a story from my A levels, Michael, and everyone else here, right? My A levels, basically, I was living by myself in a bed sit. I think I was, 17, going towards 18. And I thought, I'm no good at maths. I revised every day for about 3 months. I revised. I fainted twice. So I was so exhausted from revising.
Goodness, Kenny.
So then I said, I would revise, fall asleep in my chair revising, and then I wake up. I wake up, try and get up, and I get up and literally collapse, fall down, faint, and I sparkle out, and my mouth bleeding and everything.
Wow.
You know what? I got to the exam. I think it was stats. I think it was stats paper. I got to the exam, Michael. I looked at the paper. I done all the work, right? I looked at the paper. I didn't understand a single question, Michael. That day, my dream of becoming a doctor died because without maths, you can't be a doctor, right? You can't go into medical school. So I sat in that exam. I wrote football songs instead.
You told yourself that.
I really did. I promise you, I did. That's how I got to where I am today, right? Then I determined there and then to change everything. I want to be a psychologist instead because I just can't get maths. Of course, here's the point that now that I do marketing, I do maths. Analytics, as Cyrus will tell you, it's all about it's data, it's maths. I love it now, but I told myself, because of the story I told myself in those days, I never got it, Michael. Never.
Yeah. You caught
Right.
yourself out before
I
you
really
even got
did. The stories we tell ourselves is what determines what we become. And I guess is Dr. Yvonne. Thank you so much for joining
But
us.
you know
And you
what?
wrote
You don't have
yourself
to
off.
worry about that because there was a story my dad told me is that there were these Indians in when he was doing school, and they were very good. They were very hardworking, and they really knew their stuff.
They got maths,
But
especially.
they got maths. Yeah, sure. But for some reason or another, when they went to the exam, I remember him telling me, those people, they fainted. And like they collapsed. Like they collapsed. Yes. They were so stressed. They were really good, but they were so stressed. They collapsed in the exam. They couldn't handle the stress.
And you're not good to anyone if you're going to be collapsing an exam and stressing out.
Right.
You're not good
They
to,
had,
good to
of
yourself.
course, that
You're not
meant
good
that
to
they got an
yourself
F.
either, Christiana.
No.
Again, maybe the answer lies in the stories they're telling themselves internally.
Absolutely.
They were doing the work, but not they weren't. It wasn't them, if that makes sense. They're telling themselves, "No, I can't do this, and I can't do." That's Dr. Yvonne mentions. People don't want to come out of their comfort zones, and our comfort zones is a story to tell ourselves. We might look like we're doing something different, but if this, if the tape is still the same, the loop, as Michael mentioned, calls it, the result will still be the same. How can we move forward and achieve what we're meant to achieve if we stay exactly as we are? And it's everything. I tried to blag it. I tried to say, right, I don't want to increase my prices because I believe in helping those who are poor. Which is like, what's that about? I'm like, I don't know. It sounds good. It's what I think. Right? It sounds good, But deep down, the issue was I didn't believe in myself enough. I didn't believe people would pay me what I was worth. So I had to change that story, and I struggled to change it, and I really did struggle. So now, saying now I've learned to change my price. Now I've told myself a different story. Now my story is of being a multimillionaire. I'm not going to get there by sticking to that same old story of I charge peanuts, I get paid peanuts. But we can change. Again, I'm not going to hide the fact that it might mean we have to get better at what we do, because now to earn millions or anything, you have to be damn good, right?
Mm-hmm. That
And we
is
have to
right.
be saying that, our conversation is about becoming the person who does that, who achieves that. And that means changing our mindset, changing our thinking, maybe even changing our personality. As I was saying earlier, Christiana, we have to change who we are, really, deep down. That's what it comes down to. I'm not saying that let's become awful people. I'm saying no, let's become the good of the people that we want to become.
Well, I would say I'll put it this way, Annie.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on mindset. Let's focus on mind frame, because mindset means that you're set, and you limit yourself to a certain set of parameters, and you're done. That's the way I see mindset. But when I see mind frame, I see mind frame as something that is expandable, malleable, and grows. All right. So
Yeah.
when we talk about improving ourselves, we talk about expanding our universe.
Yeah.
All right. You expand your universe and you get to know more. And when you get to know more, you elevate yourself and become a better person. That is what we mean by expanding your mind frame. Your mind frame will just grow.
Yeah. No,
It's not going to be set. It's
I can
going to grow.
I can accept that. Coach will talk about the meanings behind words. I'm saying I think I agree with you. Maybe there's a need to change that mindset as a word. And I think one
Yeah,
time
because it's subliminally limiting, and you
yeah,
need to be aware,
that's
and that's what's happening. We're
I think that's the issue.
subliminally limiting ourselves by using words that do not apply,
I
that
think
should not apply.
that's hold on.
That's the power of the English language also.
If you choose to ascribe that meaning to it. I think there was one time I called it mind flow, because it's like I said, forever expanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being a fixed thing. So I see where you're coming from, but let's not dwell on that. I think I know what mindset is, and to me, it's not a fixed. So it's not like a wall with boundaries. It's not like to me, mindset it's a concept. And I accept the concept, even if the word sounds a bit odd. Dr. Yvonne, no, it's I think it's my sister Annie that's talking. Mass, she says crap. I'm with you there, Annie. But you weren't really. So until I became a nurse, she says, hates maths. She hates maths even now, but I'm better than I was at school. Now I have two sitting Guilds level 3. So I know you deal with medications, Annie. So she says, I look at the reflection in the mirror, and what you see is what you see, and what you see is a real genuine you with all the flaws, imperfections, and you are the same out of the mirror reflection. Then what others see? I guess then what others see is a real you, right? Stay real, be genuine, honest, loyal, true. How can others trust you if your reflection isn't really you? I suppose, Annie, here's what I learned, which is what I'm trying to share today. I think we can design who's in the mirror. That doesn't take away from what Michael's saying. In terms of being authentic and being a nice person. I think we can choose to be that nice person. And the more we tell ourselves that we're that honest, good person who's there to help others, the more we'll be that person. And again, I remember, I read a good long time ago, people at the top are nicer than those at the bottom. If you walk into a company, more often than not, and it's not always the case, of course, the chief exec it's a you know they'll be nicer to you because they know niceness and like good relationships matter. Whereas, you know, the admin will be like, "Go away! Who the hell do you think you are?" The junior managers will be like, "Ah, wait, we don't want to see you here." You know, so the niceness is a quality that we need, right? It's something that we truly need. You know, to Alexis, and I said, I like this. We need to get rid of excuses and justifications and if onlys. I agree. That's the point, Alexis. Now we need to decide who we need to become, who we want to become, and reframe who we are. This is important today, my friends. Cyrus, you've been quiet for too long, but let me show you my next video. That way, you know, we're more than halfway home, right? We're more than halfway home. We're quite close. Sure. So Bob Proctor is, I think he's a genius. Now, he passed away recently, but his words are always important. This is 2 minutes 47 seconds. I've been honest. Yeah, I like that. See, I'm an honest person about my videos now. Here goes, my friend.
Do you know that you have an image of yourself inside? When you stand in front of a mirror, you see a reflection of the physical you. But that's not the real you. You have a picture of yourself in your mind. Do you know Dr. Maxwell Maltz wrote a book back around 1960. It was called Self-Image Psychology, Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a phenomenal book. He said it was the greatest discovery of his generation. He was a cosmetic or reconstructive surgeon, and he found he would do work on people. He might have done a nose job or removed a terrible scar. And he noticed that when he did that, there was a phenomenal change in their personality. But he noticed with others, he would make a phenomenal physical change and there was no change in their personality. And that led him to postulate that we have two images. We have the one that's coming back from the mirror, but we've got an inner image. And that inner self-image is literally controlling our life. You will find people that have a very poor self-image or low self-esteem. They won't look you straight in the eye. They're afraid to shake hands with you. They're very shy and withdrawn. They go through life hiding from life. They don't like themselves. They don't know themselves. Do you know when a person improves their self-image, they change their entire life. Their income changes, their relationship changes, their health changes. And do you know how you do that? Start studying you. Start to find out more about you. There's something phenomenal about you. Do you know when I began to study this material 57 years ago, I had very poor self-image. I had low self-esteem. I took dumb jobs. I never earned any money. I never had fun. I had poor relationships. And as I started to study real solid information, everything in my life started to improve. I've got friends all over the world today. I earn millions of dollars. I'm in my 80s and I got as much energy as a person in their 30s. Do you see, when you start to understand really who you are, you're God's highest form of creation. There's things about you that just about blow your mind as you start to study and really understand them. You'll walk a little taller. You'll stand a little straighter. And you know something? You'll enjoy a whole lot more of life. You might go and buy the book, Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. It's a classic. Maltz is gone, God bless him, but he sure did leave us something. Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Click the link, leave the information below. Study this.
Terrier. You see, I watch Bob Proctor pretty much every morning. I do my story about my life. So whatever you call it, I say writing my goals, and then I'll do my meditation, and I'll watch a Bob Proctor lesson on mindset. Yeah, I think the man's a genius. But see, it keeps it very simple, right? Michael, please talk to us, Mr. Calm. What's your take?
That was very interesting. I was very impressed by what he had to say. I've got a confession. I've got a confession, guys. And I'm a Gemini. Astrologically, that's where everything, that's where they put me, or I was born in that category or for something. So I'm a Gemini. I can be whatever I want to be. There's literally, if I put myself, if I take in a position or in a scenario and I want to be something else, I imagine myself being that person or being that personality. And I play with myself in a manner where I am getting into that personality over and over and over again, to the extent that when I actually get out there and actually present myself, I become someone who's totally different. Haven't you noticed that my accents change all the time? I have a British accent, I have an
I
American
laugh.
accent,
Your
I have an
name
African
changes.
accent.
Your name
My name
changes.
changes.
So,
But I am consistently changing myself. I'm a Gemini. I love to do that. Whatever the situation is, I'll change. Whoever I am talking to, so that they can feel comfortable in front of me, I'll change my accent. I'll change the way I present myself. If they, if I feel that they're uncomfortable with me, I find a way to make them comfortable with me being there. I don't like it when people are uncomfortable in front of me. Just it leaves a bad taste in my mind when I leave them. I want them to be comfortable. I want to be friends. So that's
Michael,
what.
I guess thank you for just validating some of my arguments today. I guess some of my thoughts, what I'm trying to share, right?
Absolutely.
And I guess now you show that it's possible. You show that we can become whatever we want to become. My question to you, my question to anyone else, I guess, who's here is, imagine if you painted a perfect picture of you that you want to be, that you have to be, that you need to be to achieve the life that you want, and you stuck to it. Imagine that. What would your life be like? That's a real thing, and that's the point today, Michael. So when I say I wake up every morning and listen to Bob Proctor, I'm saying I guess I have an evolving self-image, as Christiana mentioned. That's true. Alas, I'm trying to cement, or I want to cement the ideal version of me. And that comes from repetition, consistency, visualizing the image you want of who you are. And then, as Rosemary tells us, Rosemary, I do see your comment, of course. Rosemary tells us that, in positivity, positivity declares who you want to become, you definitely become it. I'm not sure about changing often. If it works for you, I'm not gonna knock it for sure. Jay says through his teachings, Bob Proctor helped me through the aftermath of the tornado. If you don't never listen to Bob Proctor, my friends, make that part of your routine.
What is the book called? Psychokinetics?
In the Psycho-Cybernetics, I just put a link in the comments. And you know the beauty of it? The book is free on YouTube. Into those words.
Not on Amazon. Not on amazing Amazon.
It's an Amazon, of course. You pay for an Amazon, of course, right? But it's free.
You have to stick that out to me. It's free on YouTube.
Look, I love audiobooks. I get through so many books by reading audiobooks. And if I'm just working away, I'll put a book on. So I'm looking at my tabs: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 YouTube tabs, and 5 book tabs, and there's a couple of Kindle tabs as well. So I've got a screen read the books to me.
If I understand it correctly, all your audio stuff comes in from YouTube?
No, mostly from YouTube. But I have a screen reader that reads my Kindle, my Amazon Kindle books, my ebooks to me as well. That's how I got through Coach's book twice over.
Oh, okay. Can you send me the details of that screen reader?
Mm-hmm.
You can also put it in the chat, please, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to know what you use.
It's an extension, so it's on Google. So I'll show you the two I use. So one's
Okay.
Google's what's it called? Natural Reader. AI text to it text to speech. Access to this to your different websites, and there another one. Read Aloud is the other one. It text to speech voice reader with access. Has access to most websites.
Does it allow you to choose the reader?
Yes, within reason. Of course, if you pay, you can have even more control. You can choose the male, female, accent you like, and all that stuff. I don't intend to pay them.
I want someone that sounds like Cyrus.
Employee Cyrus.
And speaking of Cyrus, he hasn't said anything yet. So
no, he did before. You when you were falling on and off, right?
Oh, I'm sorry to have missed you, Phenomenal. Oh my gosh. Now my life is gonna, it's all shitty.
Oh, Jay, I'll come back to you, my friend. I'm not a Gemini. The Geminis, I've heard the Gemini thing a few times recently. In Geminis, I think Yolanda's a Gemini as well. I guess a book we're writing, she mentioned her Gemini qualities, Gemini traits, call it that, right? But Jay says, I'm not a Gemini, but I found mirroring was an effective way to establish rapport as a center manager. Yeah,
I like to think of myself as being the gem in I. That's how I like.
Many of us don't believe in astrology, our star sign.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I was growing up, Michael, there was newspapers and magazines always had some people used to rush to them to go and see their star sign and what it says about them today. And I was like, why are you doing that? Of course, if we choose to, we can see some of ourselves in the whatever they write, whatever they say about us. I'm a Leo, so. But I think deep down, we decide who we are. That's the point, right? We choose who we are. We choose how we behave based on this point. It's good business practice to learn to mirror and pace people you're trying to influence. First of all, you actually to build rapport, you need to get on their level, and then you get to mirror what they're doing, and then you get to direct what they're doing. Yeah, I'm not sure that changes who we are internally. Apart from saying to myself, that person's very good at mirroring people, Jay. I will do what it takes to close the deals, to serve more people. For example, I'm saying that's something we can say to ourselves. But do we really change every time there's a new person in front of us? Of course not. Natalie, I'm not sure I agree with you, Natalie. I'm brave to criticize or to challenge. Natalie says, oftentimes spending too much time imagining instead of doing is part of the problem. Observe, listen, do. Okay. No. Yes, but no. Okay, that's as nice as I can be today, right? I think the bits that's missing, Natalie, is what I'm talking about today. I guess, and I argue this with my son. This is what I'm going to tell him when I go to Ghana. What's your dream? What's in your mind? What do you see? What's the picture you see? What's the movie you're playing in your head? Because that picture is going to become your reality if you're willing to do the work it takes to actually achieve it. Whatever that picture is. If you think you want to fly a rocket to the moon, you can do it, child. We can all do it. This is the point. The story we tell ourselves, Nat. That's where it starts. It doesn't start now. If we have no picture in our head we're just going with the wind. We're doing what Michael talked about earlier, loop after loop after loop of the same old rubbish, same thing that we don't want to happen. Whereas if you have a vision, you create that vision. Wow, that's what I learned. That's why I say all the coaches in our community, they are worth their weight in gold. I've always had a coach, and they've all said the same thing. You know, your vision is where it all starts. The picture in your head, your story, that's a beginning. Yes, spend a lot of time imagining. Think back when you were a kid, Michael, and everyone else. When you were a kid, you spent your days daydreaming, right? And they're like, "Stop it! You're at school. Focus. Grab your pen. Write." Yet the things we daydreamed about, that we've worked towards, is who we are today. This is the point that we have to design that picture of who we're going to become. We can, we must, and we can be anything we choose to be. We can be as brilliant as we know we are, or we can be in our comfort zone and just carry on and hope that life throws us some biscuits, as Cyrus will mention, as Cyrus will say earlier.
Get the biscuits out. Yeah.
This is a point, right? Let's not settle for what happens. Let's not settle for whatever. Let's go get what Coach David will call our divine destiny. Is there. It's there. It's there already. Everything we dream of is there. We won't be able to dream it otherwise. The question then becomes, do we really want it? Are we willing to work towards it? Are we willing to do what it takes to get it? Go on, Cyrus.
Okay. First, I need to address what Calm just said. He said, "I'm a Gemini. I am the gem in the eye." So, in Gloucestershire every year, there's an annual competition where everyone, like hundreds of people, gather around on top of a hill, and then they roll down something, and everyone tries to catch it. Do you know what that is? That's the biggest block of cheese they can find. So from next year, I'm going to ask them to space what Michael just said, because that's the biggest block of cheese I've ever seen. I've heard in my life. Michael, that was cheesy. So I'm only joking.
Cyrus, you're mean. Geminis believe. Those who
I'm a
believe in
Gemini.
astrology,
I'm
they
a
believe
Gemini
in
myself. I'm a Gemini
No,
myself. I was born
I'm
on
gonna
11th
laugh.
of
I'm
June.
gonna laugh at that. That is.
So
All right. All right.
I'm a Gemini.
I'll take it.
I'm not sure what day in June you were born.
16.
I was born on 11th. So I'm a Gemini myself.
Yeah,
Right?
you're a Gemini too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
My sisters were born on 6.
Yeah, one of my sisters and my mum were born on. They are Geminis as well. So you can imagine it's like a war zone in the house all the time. So regarding this live event, right? And this is the second fantastic live event you've had today. I love your shows. They're brilliant. Not because of your own personality, which it is one of the reasons. Not just because of that, because of the guests that you invite to your shows. Everyone who comes to the show, they just speak their mind, and that's what I like the most about these shows. About authenticity, you guys spoke about authenticity, and one of the things that I've noticed with some of the people I've worked with, I mostly work with CEOs who or decision makers of businesses, like people who want to create podcasts or whatever. So what one of the first things that I always teach them and share with them is that don't be yourself. Okay. So you are in that situation, so you need improvement. You feel like you need improvement. It's because of the fact that you are yourself right now. What is yourself comprised of? you are comprised of your current habits, which are poor. If they weren't, you wouldn't seek to improve them, would you? So, and you should be always seeking to improve them. So, your current self is comprised of your current habits and your self-limiting beliefs. So, every stage of the way, you get rid of those, and then you move up the ladder a little bit. So, the best thing is to get rid of that. Just don't be yourself. Be the future self you want to become. Because what's the point if you always yourself? And sometimes people take authenticity for carrying on and extending your current self. That's wrong. Well, you might find it right, but that's a waste of time because it doesn't add anything to you. You just extend the current version of you and copies and pastes it into your future. So, so first advice that I've got for everyone, which I've written it on my wall. Don't be yourself. Be the version of yourself you want to be. So that's one of the corrections that we need to do in our heads. Authenticity means the future version, not the current self, the future version of yourself. So I posted in the comments that you can never feature in the future you can't picture. So you have to, just like any self, every time, every day when he wakes up, he imagines the version that he's gonna be doing. What version am I doing today? The same version I'm deciding at the beginning of the day. So you are in control of that vehicle, and remember, at any given moment, your business and your relationship and yourself, in your business or relationship or in your life, things are either getting better or they're getting worse. There's no the only constant is change. Okay, so nothing carries on as normal. There's no such thing as, oh, everything's normal, everything's as it used to be. No, you at any given moment, your health is either getting better or worse. Your relationship is getting stronger or weaker. Your business is getting more profitable or less profitable. You're dealing with loss or profit. And also, between the version that you want to be, this is where I want to talk about the ignorance tax. I've talked about it in any shows before, but I'm going to mention it again. Your current income is a result of your current knowledge or your perception of your self-worth. So between how much, let's say you are making $100,000 a year. Right now, you're making, so your knowledge and your self-worth is that much. That's how much you value yourself as. So between this 100,000, let's say you want to make $500,000 a year. So between this current income and the future income, there are a series of activities, a series of changes that you have to go through. Some people say they want to go through it. So I'm going to agree with Natalie on that comment here. Some people just fantasize about it and just say they want to do it. Some people actually go through that change and acquire those skills. And I have friends on LinkedIn who were scared of doing video live events. They were just interested in doing audio events. Audio came and went, and video's here now, right? So the change happened. Most people hate change. Not many people like change. I know I'm one of them. I don't like change, but
You're human, my friend. You're human. We're all human. We love what we know. We love familiarity, right?
true. That's absolutely true. And finally, when it comes to improving ourselves or doing what is necessary, just like Annie said earlier, becoming that version, doing those things. What I've come to realization is there are three types of people. Category one, they're always, regardless of age, by the way, this is what I'm going to explain about. Please do not consider this something that's associated with a person's age. Okay, age has nothing to do with it. So the first category is tired, aged person. I'm talking about really old person, like 90, 95, 100 years old, tired. I've done everything I was supposed to do. I can't do it anymore. I'm too tired. Leave me alone. I don't want to go through any type of change. So that a person at the age of 16 or 18 could have that mentality. Category 2 is the justice seeking teenager. Some people get stuck in that forever, of being wronged, and I do not want to go through any sort of change. Don't put extra responsibility on my shoulders. I'm seeking justice. I don't want to succeed. I want to seek justice. Category 3, the hurt child. So they always need extra attention, and they want some sort of comfort. They need comforting. So in my experience, if someone is stuck in any of these 3 states of mind, no matter how much you try to improve them, they won't, because they're stuck in one of these 3, and it's upsetting. I know. So one of the things that nobody talks about is the damage that self-improvement can do to your psyche, because you become self-aware and you feel the guilt of not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Once you get over those hurts which occur to your psyche, you can make a lot more progress. And always remember, the situation that you are in right now, not all of it is your fault. Some of it is because of the educational system. Some of it is because of the circumstance. Yes, I agree. But now you are at the wheel. Where is it you're driving? Ask yourself. Thank you.
You get it, Cyrus. This is what I love when people think clearly. Most people, let's say everyone, most people think better, clearly, more clearly than I do. But this is, you said everything I've been trying to say all day, Cyrus. This is it, right? You know, we are okay as we are, but the results are not where we want to be. Our future self is where we need to get to, and we're going to get there. It's whether we go there with our baggage, and that's one of those 3 hurt people, Cyrus, people who've given up. Or are we going to get there as a people who have the guilt? And the simple way to change, to not be that person, it is to visualize your future self. Paint a picture. Write the story of your future self. Play it to yourself. And believe it. When you do that, I think the guilt is almost taken away, Cyrus. The guilt, because if you truly believe you are that person, your story is of being that person who does that, you will do what it takes. Yes, the discomfort, Cyrus, is so true. People, we love our status quo. We love doing the same thing, familiarity. It breeds contempt, but we think it's all right to be stuck where we are. It's not all right. The world will change around us, and we're going to have to change with it. This is a conversation about whether we determine who we become, or whether we become who knows what. That's the long and short of it. Rosemary, I see what you're saying. Rosemary says, I walk in boldness, not arrogance. I carry influence, not just presence. Every space I enter is blessed because I'm showing up as my full, authentic, God-empowered self. Right. I mean, my friends, take that in for a second, right? It's a young lady in Nigeria. This woman can tell you that the bad experiences she had as a child or in her past. But she's made a choice. She's changed the story. She's changed the narrative, and the results, I'm sure she'll tell you, they're there for all to see. Her life has changed. We can do the same. We have to do the same. And when I started telling you, I said I got millions in the bank. That's why I get up every morning. That's why I work as hard as I do. That's why I do what I do, because I believe that's how you get there. Of course, there's many more side stories in between. I'm a hard worker. I'm successful. I could carry on. I'm saying that, but the stories we tell ourselves is exactly what we become. We must learn to tell those stories. As Sean, that's genius as well, my friends. You don't see the world as it is. We think we do. It's an illusion. You know, many videos I watched, it was about how our sense of self is an illusion. The only reality there is, it took me a long time to learn this lesson, is the one we create in our heads and in our lives. Think of that. Isn't that stunning? Isn't that a stunning realization, right? Sean, you're so right. You know, we see everything as we are, as the stories we tell ourselves. That's what Coach talked about earlier, our values, our beliefs. And Cyrus, you're dead right. You know, we can flip those beliefs if we choose to. Or we can hold on to them and carry on living our life of hardship. The choice is ours. You know, so Fatakimi, I don't know which one you use. Ayokunle, I think I'll send you the links after the event. I'll post a link in the comments and I'll DM you as well. Even if we're not connected, I'll still find a way to get it to you, right? You know, psycho-cybernetics is amazing. I agree with you. I'm sure that's Dr. Yvonne, right? You know, we use it as a psychology counseling course, and it is a mind-changing read. It really is. You know, thank you so much for endorsing the book. You know, it is. If you read that book and take it in, it will change your life. There's many more books out there, of course. That's why there are so many rooms, right? I told them you're a Gemini, Yolanda. I told them you're a Gemini, right? I told them, you know, you're a Gemini, your grandma's a Gemini, your great grandma's a Gemini, and Michael, is there a pattern? I wonder. I'm not going to argue with you, right? Natalie says, in Yoson, did you know there's an estimated 1 to 5% of the global population suffer from aphantasia? Yeah, well, I know someone who does, and it is a remarkable feat when someone cannot visualize what we think. You know, many of us can close our eyes and see a picture, right? Aphantasia is when you can't see a picture. Is it a problem? Yes, Natalie, it's a problem. I can't fix it. I'm just saying, you know, they can't, you know, it's a neuro trait for sure. But you know, I just think that is such a hard. It's a hard hand those people are dealt. It's you can't see. It's hard to really begin to think how you can change the world around you. So okay, I see what you mean. That you say my son has aphantasia, so does my daughter. Yeah, like I say, if you mention health, any normally climbs up because you know I do understand. You know, and it's a hard achievement to change someone's health reality, but it can be done, I'm sure. You know, Sean, I agree with you. You can consciously realter your self-image. We have to, right? You're still living out someone else's projection of who you are allowed to be. Isn't that the truth, right? Like we must, you know, if someone here is thinking my life is perfect, I got the perfect life I want, I'm living my best life. Crack on. Now, this conversation it's not for you, right? Maybe you want to come and share with us why your life is so great. But many of us, we're on that journey Sarah's mentioned. We're now our future self. That's where we're going. Go on, Michael.
Well, there is regarding the health issues. So I came out of something called DVT, deep vein thrombosis, acute deep vein thrombosis in both legs. Very massive, kind of like elephantitis looking legs. Now, through a lot, and in my mindset, I'm not that person to have elephantitis. I'm an athlete. I'm someone who runs around a soccer pitch. What do you call it? First team player. I'm pretty good at what physically. I'm pretty good at what I do. I'm warrior class. Kind of like weird for me to be in this kind of condition and position. So that you're trying to get me to say, okay, I am crippled. I am I'm not going to be able to walk again, or when I have real. No, I totally refuse that. I am not that. I have, there are a lot of examples of people, athletes being athletic, even at the age of 90, literally dancing and running, even doing marathons, huge marathons at 90. I'm only, what, 50 right now? Yeah. So it's possible to regain your athleticism. World, just because the world has dumped on you and said, no, you're going to be this, you don't have to accept it. I don't accept it because I know where I have been, and I want to go back to that, to being that. I do not want to go to where the universe wants me to go or wants to dump me. I think that, and I don't think that's the universe wanting to do that. I think that was just my fault, my own negligence, my own. I didn't pay attention to myself. I was certainly very negligent with respect to my body and how to take care of it, and the fact that I was actually getting older. I was so focused on capitalism, making money, and so focused on being that person who's always making the money and getting it done right, and just money. That was my thought, that was all I needed. Heck, I didn't realize that I needed my health in that thought process. I was like, are you crazy? When I ended up getting out of this situation, or coming to my mind, because I was almost I was in the ER room and nearly died. They said, did they even ask me, why aren't you already dead? Literally, doctors asking me that. I'm like, I don't know. But they said, why are you saying that? Because the majority of people who come in and put in the condition that you're in are most certainly dead, or will be dead in the next hour or 2 days or something like that. I refuse that. I literally mentally refused that. I let the universe know. That's not me. This is me. And I'm going to get back to being me. And I am fighting, literally fighting myself, my body, fighting what I have done, and trying and reversing it, in recovery, reversing what I have put in my body and what I allowed to happen to my body, and knowing wholeheartedly that I love myself, and I understand that my body can heal itself and can do things that are so phenomenal that and because of that, I'm going to put all the positive energy that I need to put into it, into myself, into my mindset, or mind frames, not mindset, but mind frame, so that I can get myself there. There's the road to recovery I've had a lot of stumbles, a lot, to the extent I was thinking to myself, I'm going to give up. No, that little image within myself said, no, you cannot give up, because you are this person and you need to get back to being this person. And of course, I had to talk to family, I had to talk to friends, and that's what I'm currently doing. I'm getting support from these people to live, to move on and keep on living. I spend a lot of time thinking about myself and thinking about where I need to go and thinking about what I need to do in order to get myself out of this health position. But so to put it bluntly, Annie, it's not that you don't have anything to talk about. Yes, you can. There's much that you can talk about. You can give people positive energy. It's not, but like you said, if you feel like you've got nothing to say, then it's better to say nothing. That's what I understand about really helping somebody out in this kind of position. But I think there should be another way to actually communicate with people and to give them some sort of positive and meaningful encounter with you. Because you are any.
And I agree. You know, the thing I don't want to sound insensitive, right? But okay, so let me respond if I can.
On the contrary, Annie, I know that
Yes,
you're not insensitive. Even if you sound insensitive, I know that you're not.
You never sounded sensitive. I like that. Look, now it is that I do aim to come from a good place, good intentions for sure. You know, look,
Mhm.
you know, Coach Ashif says, if you look for perfection, you never be content. Be you, be true, be free. I think that's important as a response, Michael. Right? I'll never go back to when I was 15, Michael. And I'll never go back to when I was 30. I'll never go back to when I was 45, when we're the same age. I'm saying to you, Stephen Hawkins, his injury, disability, call it what you like, did not stop him achieving greatness, living the life he wanted. Yes, he couldn't walk. Of course he couldn't. He needed carers. I'm saying, maybe, Michael, maybe your future self, of course, it involves being healthy as you can be. I'm not sure we'll never reverse time. I'm not sure we need to reverse time. You know, it's a thought, right? You know, it's been you are who you are, and you know, I suppose part of me is I'm asking myself, has Michael really chased every potential solution? Maybe you have. Maybe you have. I've got a friend who's got MS. Let me use that as an example, right? Now, she was a young woman, literally stunning woman, my wife's best friend when they were younger. You know, I think she was 32, suddenly developed MS. And from 40, she's been unable to walk, eat, and do any of the normal stuff. She's still living, she's still doing, she's still happy. Granted, she was always work shy. Tasha, no, she was always work shy, but she still found happiness in being, just by being, right? I'm saying for you, now you've got this picture of you being an athlete. Is that really what the gods have in mind for you, Michael? It's a question. I don't expect you to answer me. I'm saying it's a question. You know,
I do not know what the gods have in mind for me, but I do know what I have in mind for myself. And I do know that you once said that nothing is impossible for us humans. And I totally and wholeheartedly believe that. Nothing is impossible. And literally, I want to make the impossible possible. That is part of my mantra. Make the impossible possible. You're doing it, Annie. You're making the impossible possible every day of your life. Why doesn't everybody here do that in their life? Or even the world? this universe would be a much better place. Make the impossible possible. We are capable of it. You and I. Actually, everybody in the universe is capable of it. So do it. Don't put limitations on yourself. There is no such thing.
Have you thought of going to medical school?
Nope. I haven't thought of going to medical school. I haven't even had any interest. No.
I'm saying
Why is that?
if you're determined to find a cure for DVT, maybe you're meant to find it. Maybe that's the task that the gods are giving you. That's your divine task on this planet. That's your skill.
That would be amazing. And that's also interesting. I'll keep it in mind. Let me add it to one of my tasks.
That's what amazing things look like, Michael. That's
very true.
It's like this is what truly. Again, I understand the need. I really do. As I said, I've sat down too long to understand the health effects that we suffer from, right? But getting skinny legs is not for me. It's neither here nor there. It doesn't. That's not what I'm here for. I'm saying for some, the mission is what it is. Once you realize that's what, if you've looked everywhere, what's that saying? If you knock on the door, no one opens the door, build your own, right? May well come to that, Michael. You can't say you're too young.
I have all the time in the world.
You really do. And I know you work as well. I'm not. It's not that you don't work. It's been. If this is what drives you, Michael, this is what your life is. Embrace it and then work out, how do I become the person who finds a solution to this situation?
That is what I am in the process of doing.
Okay. So your future self will thank you when you find a solution. And either through, I'm sure. Is there really a solution? Has anyone found a solution yet? Can you say no one has for sure, Michael? Can you say you've looked everywhere, thick and thin?
There is news that some people have already found a solution. There is news out there that's actually positive. So I'm in the process of trying to chase it down.
Excellent.
See whether it's true and whether it's real.
Excellent.
And it's coming from where? Africa, of all places. Can you imagine? I couldn't. I was baffled. I was like, what? No way. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You're right. I have not closed all the loops. The loops are infinite. But I'm gonna go through as many as I possibly can as I live in order to find out what can I do to help humankind out of this situation or to improve the universe.
I'm sure you agree that would be one big thing, one huge thing. That would be your future self that we've been talking about so far, right?
Yep.
It is that story, the story you tell yourself of what you're here for, what you're gifted for, what you can do. My friends, all of you, go on, please, carry on.
I invite you to take the trip with me. Because this is going to be a journey and it's going to be a wild ride. So if you're able and capable, come on over. Let's go for a trip.
We'll talk and you can tell me what's involved, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me what's involved and then we'll go from there. Cherise, welcome. So I'm sure you're just woken up. I'm glad you're here. Thanks so much. My authenticity comes from my performance and track record. And I always made an impact on my clients in the no-nonsense negotiations. I hear you. Look, who we are, what we say we are, is what ultimately becomes of us, right? So Gideon says, I'm depressed. Gideon, what are you gonna do about it? Now you're depressed. Who are you gonna talk to? How are you gonna find a way forward? That's Michael was just discussing. It's on us to find a solution to the thing that we want to change.
Depression is a mind frame.
Yes.
One of those other mind frames.
Yeah,
And
sometimes
it's a mind frame that you can get out of. A lot of people can get out of it. It's just a matter of how you look at it.
A lot of people do get out of it, Mike. I agree with it, but a lot of people also live with it. I'm saying depression is not going to be what holds you back. It's your thinking, the rest of your life that holds you back.
It's your mind frame, the way you approach it.
Yes. And look, welcome, Brian Bing. I see you. It's always great to have you in our rooms, Brian. You know that. Thank you so much for being here, right? So Natalie, having a good start in life and having equitable resource distribution impacts the capacity to do. And of course, the many things that affect our capacity to do, even to think, is what we worked out so far, right? Let me show you my last video. Like I said, I want to have closure of sorts. So how do we change our mindset? How do we change our self-identity? Let me show you, my friends. It's 3 minutes, so let me show you now. Then we're closer to going.
And here, I'll simplify the entire inner work in one question that you can ask. I can't because whatever it is. I can't because. If you want a juicy nugget to dive into and do some inner work, you ask yourself that question. I can't make money because, and you'll find the story, level 1. I can't find love or get in a relationship or trust people because, and you'll find maybe 3, 2, maybe 1. I can't get myself to stop procrastinating because oftentimes the core story there is fear-based. I need to uphold an image. I'm scared of rejection. I don't want it to go wrong. I don't want to admit that I'm not as far ahead as I thought I was going to be. I can't because. If you got the cojones to sit down and ask that question, I promise you, your next level of growth is going to unlock. And all of this is fear-based. And what you find about fear is that most of it is not true. Fear is just a negative visualization. That's it. It's just seeing what could happen and assuming that it's going to go wrong. What's so funny about fear is that 9 out of 10 times, maybe 99 times out of 100, your fear doesn't come true. And you don't even remember the times where you were afraid of something and it didn't go that way. You don't give yourself credit for that. You just kind of ignore it and then you move on to the next fear and the next fear and the next fear. I can't because blank. Realize that 99% of the time, those fears actually never happen. And this takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes a lot of guts to ask, because it's painful to realize, dude, I've been telling myself a contamination story for a decade, 5 years. Oh man. So let's recap what we learned. I hope this was useful. If it was useful, let me know in the comments and give me your biggest takeaway. There's 2 types of story. There's commitment and contamination stories. And most people are telling themselves the first. Your stories are at the core of your emotions and your thoughts. You need to go from levels 1, 2, and 3, not 3, 2, 1. You don't change your thoughts so you can have better emotions, so you can tell yourself better stories. It's much more effective and efficient, and all inner work gets to story changing, so you feel different, so you think different. Remember that your thoughts are files and your emotions are like the folders they're stored in. So when you change the folder, the files can change as well. You can delete them and then they're gone, or you can create new ones. And understand that you have core stories. Most people are running on 4 main categories: money, love, fear, and their self-image. And if you want to see where you are, give me a boy till the age of 7 and I'll show you the man, as the saying goes. It's more effective to not just go after your now, but to do inner work, which is what this is called, and trace it back to where you picked up these stories. Are they really true? Fact check them, just like I did with my math story, just like the woman did in my...
You get the idea, my friends. This is what it comes down to. So for me, that exercise, I can't because, it stunts me. And I was truly stumped. I had no excuse. I had no reason why I couldn't. I can't raise my price because every excuse I gave myself fell apart, did not hold water. No, your clients are not all poor, any. No, the world is not in a recession, so no one can afford your services. Don't be silly. I'm saying literally, if play that game with yourself. But the first thing you have to do is design your future life. That's why I started off with who are you? As a Christiana gave us a good deal of who she is, right? So, but as Cyrus mentioned, to become your future self, we have to become a different person altogether. I say that again. I know Christian argued. I'm saying, but deep down, we have to change it. We have to turn it up more, become better, become different, become happier, become more at peace with ourselves, and God forbid, become richer. Now, really, I'm saying, but the only way to get there is if we truly change our self-belief about who we are, our self-identity. Yeah. So now I see what you're saying. Now, Rosemary, I'm totally with you. Make the impossible possible. We have that power. Only we on the species on Earth do. Think of that. There's nothing we can't do, right? And that's the impossible. As my friend Paul used to say, that stands for I am possible. That's what impossible is. That's what it really is, right? Mel will tell you the same. I said, Mel Richards.
Absolutely right.
But this comes down to what do we tell ourselves we can do. If we really want it, don't be half in and half out. Don't be waiting. Go get it. Go. If you can think it, Michael, Cyrus, if you can think it, it's there. Everything is in our heads first. My friends, I can't thank you enough for giving me your time as always. Stephen Hawkins is a good example, says Natalie, and we must consider those who not come from a place of privilege how he came from. Look, place of privilege, yes, but it's a picture we have of us, of our condition, of our situation, of who we are, Natalie. It's not privilege that moves you forward. It's a will, it's belief. As Coach mentioned, there's different parts of our personality, of our sense of self. If we become like Cyrus, so the one thing I love about Cyrus these days, because we'll say the same thing about Cyrus. We'll say, well, Cyrus thinks it, he does it. He's a doer. I'm sure he's told himself as a doer as well. That's why he does things. He doesn't just think and leave it. He goes and does. We can learn from these people. So there was Joni on Tuesday saying about how she takes risks regardless of the results, and it doesn't let fear stop her for anything. She would just carry on. She'll fail and keep failing until she succeeds. I'm saying, we are those people. We have to be those people, right? We have to be, because that's how the world really works, and that's how our future will be determined. Now, Brian, I see you. So how you see yourself matters, and it will affect, if you will advance or stay stuck in fear and thoughts of not being good enough. Say positive thoughts to yourself. Take action when you're not ready. When you're ready to. Now we're busy. Don't get trapped in negative. And never believe anything is impossible, as Rosemary says, right? Michael, Cyrus, I'll let you have the last word, my friend.
Go ahead, Cyrus.
Mr. Cyrus, are you still there? Yeah, of course you're still there.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So
a bit louder.
Michael, you mentioned a lot of stuff about illness.
Come nearer your phone.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So, Michael, you said a lot of things about illness, and I wish you a swift recovery. And I am so proud of you, and the the amount of knowledge you're sharing with the events is just off the charts. I just want to say thank you. Also,
Stop making me
regarding
blush.
also regarding becoming the version that you want. Okay, so if you guys are listening to this on repeat, which me and Calm always do after the show is finished, we always watch the repeats. So if you're on your way to become that person, yeah, there are moments you're not comfortable. There are moments that are not exactly your favorite moments in life. I hope the pain that you are too shy or scared to share with the rest of the world, I hope that pain goes away and gives its place to calmness and satisfaction. Because what is it that we all do? We just want to live a happy life. Okay, we have a limited number of days, limited number of years, and we want to be our best. Okay, I hope you are your best, and I hope next year you're better than this year, and on and on and on and on, because you deserve it. And yeah, things do get tough, and guess what? So are you. You are the ultimate warrior. You are, no matter how you look at it, you are on top of the food chain. Okay, so you can do it. You are doing it. Just keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. It's much wisdom there. Mr. Calm, what say you before we go, my friend?
Well, I like the way what you said, Annie. I am possible. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Natalie, especially. I always have to thank Natalie for moderating our comments. You're a star. Look, I'm almost like a challenger. I don't want to say I dare you. I challenge you. Dare to say who you are today, and then dare to write down your future self, the future self that you dream of. And keep looking at it. Don't just don't write and put it away. Write it, and then almost every day, whether that's for a month or whether that's for however long you're gonna do it for, right? But ask yourself that big question. I can't because, and you find that the only thing that's stopping you is you. And then don't let you stop you, right? If as you mentioned, the access Stephen Hawkins had, Natalie, we can all have that same access. I know you're thinking it's a lot of money. We can have the same way of being, my friends. Don't let anything stop you, because the only thing that stops you really is you. That goes for all of us. There were days when I had to face this reality. My thinking is what was doing me in, what was holding me in that loop, Michael, that you mentioned. But I want you to say, I challenge you to answer the questions. I can't because, good luck with that. If you want to come and share with us what you learned, what you decided, what you come up with, maybe you might have good reasons why you can't. Right? I doubt that. There's no good reason. Think about it, right? I can't because. Then you realize that we can. Nothing's impossible. My friends, enjoy your night. Thank you so much. So we're back in 2 weeks' time. We've got Christiana's room tomorrow. We'll talk about how to be positive or maintain a positive thinking, I guess, after miscarriage and baby loss. So that's probably a good place to leave it today, right? Because can we come back from such a devastating loss? What can I say apart from we have to, we must. for our existing kids, for the kids we're going to have in the future. We must come back. We must find a way to come to terms with it. It might feel impossible on day one, even maybe a month, even 6 months later, maybe years later, if it was difficult. It's not impossible. That's why we're human, my friends. I leave you with the words, I can't because. Ask yourself those questions. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you to all our speakers. You always amaze me. Thank you to everyone in the audience. Sean, Charito, Rosemary, I could carry on, Brian Bing, Gideon. Hopefully you find some healing, Gideon. Coach Asif, thank you so much. Now, when you forgive, you heal. When you let go, you grow. Thank you so much, Dr. Yvonne. Oh, too many people now. Alexis, I appreciate you always. I say working my clients' books as we speak. Thank you so much. And of course, there's Safi as well, the virtual artist. Do go and check out her work. Look, go in the comments, see who you want to connect with, right? Because there's people here you want to connect with. You're here for a reason. Don't waste the opportunity. Connect with people who you don't know and meet the people that you haven't met yet. Now, thank you so much, everyone. So, Ayokunle, I see you as well, of course. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your night. I'm going to play my ending music by Cyrus, as always. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your